Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. I'm working out some fighting words. Before we go any further, I need you to like this video and also subscribe to my channel. So in this video, I want to talk about Manny Pacquiao and the events after his fight versus Yordenis Ugas. So rumors have been circulating that Manny Pacquiao saying, let's run it back. Now, keep in mind, before you say anything, yeah, I know we've all seen the videos of Manny Pacquiao with the swollen eyes and his wife literally spoon-feeding him. But this is the same man who fought Juan Manuel Marquez 4 times. So, and I would argue of the 4 times, he didn't get the better of Marquez, but we're not gonna go there. It's not what this video is about. But I'm just saying, that's the personality of this man, of this fighter. He's not the lay down type of guy. He's not the quick type of guy. And if he feels he can do better, he'll come back for it. I mean, after all, after the Floyd fight, he's still wanting that fight. He still wants to fight with Floyd. After all these years, Floyd is literally retired. Floyd has moved on to fighting YouTubers. And Manny Pacquiao would literally jump out of bed right now in the Philippines and fly to Las Vegas if Floyd said, let's fight right now. So Manny Pacquiao, I mean, listen, before I go any further, I gotta say I love that about him. That's the spirit and the heart of a real fighter. You know, you got yours, I'm gonna get mine. And I love that about him. But my only concern is, I don't think Ugas is on the level, let me say it like this. I don't think a present day Ugas is on the level of a prime Manny Pacquiao. So what we saw in the fight with Manny Pacquiao and Yordenis Ugas is what we see in any fighter and every fighter if they stick around too long. What happens is you get an A fighter who gets bested by like a C fighter. And that's what happens. That's literally what happens if you stick around this game too long. Mike Tyson said it best when he got beat by Kevin McBride. And he finally walked away for the last time. And, well, I don't count the Roy Jones fight. So he finally walked away for real. And he said, I don't want to get beat by guys that I would have killed 10 years ago. And if you look at Manny Pacquiao and Yordenis Ugas, and I'm not downing Ugas at all, but there's levels to the game. I'm sorry. There's levels to the game. And Ugas, in his prime, which I believe is now, is nowhere near the prime of Manny Pacquiao. Okay, the guy who fought Antonio Margarito, the guy who fought Oscar De La Hoya, the guy who fought Shane Mosley, Cotto. I mean, I can literally keep going. Ugas is not on that level. I'm sorry. He's just not on that level. And so I understand where Manny Pacquiao's coming from. And he's like, you know what? This is not sitting well with me. 5 years ago, I would have destroyed this man in like 10 different ways. And now he's getting the better of me. I'm going to make this wrong right. And maybe that, and then I can leave on a high note. And that is every fighter's dream, to leave on a high note. Like, I'm going to leave with a win. I don't want to leave with a loss, because then if I leave with a loss, I feel compelled to come back because I left with a loss, and I left with a sour taste in my mouth, and I didn't give you, the viewer, the fans, a proper wave goodbye by losing. Nobody wants to leave with a loss. Like, nobody wants to leave with a loss. You know, that's not the way you leave. You want to leave with a win. You know, you want to leave with a win. I mean, you want to leave like, ooh, Floyd Mayweather. I'm sorry. He left well. That's the way you leave. That's literally the way you leave. I'm not saying you take a fight that you feel is so easy that nobody's going to buy the pay-per-view. Contrary to what everybody, said when Floyd Mayweather, did his last real professional boxing match. Andre Berto was a very credible fighter. And still is. I'm sorry. He's a credible fighter. This was a title holder. He was an Olympian. He's a credible fighter. You can say whatever you like, but he's a credible fighter. And Floyd left with that fight. Now, it left a few people a little little sour in the mouth, but I'm sorry, the man has fought for over 20 years and fought the best in his division. Not to make this video about Floyd Mayweather, but what I'm trying to say is maybe Manny Pacquiao took on the... If he would have fought, let me say it like this. If Manny Pacquiao would have fought Errol Spence and then Errol Spence beat Manny Pacquiao, I think it would have sat better with him in his heart. Why? Well, Errol Spence is a unified champ. And Errol Spence is undefeated. And he's younger. So it's like, okay, you're bigger, you're younger, you are a true unified champ. You actually fought for these belts. Again, not knocking Ugas, but he didn't fight for that belt. You actually fought for this belt and won it in competition. And you're undefeated. I don't think the next day Manny Pacquiao is going to say, I went 12 rounds with Errol Spence and I didn't win. I'm going to run it back. I think he would say, you know what? I went 12 rounds with Errol Spence. How many people can say that? You know, I think he would look at it more like that. But he's saying, I went 12 rounds with Ugas? You know, like, and I don't think that's sitting well with Manny Pacquiao. And, you know, maybe you could say it's ego, or maybe you could just say, you know, he's been in the game so long, and he never thought maybe I would go out with a guy like this, or go out to a guy like this. It can sit well with me if I go out to a guy like Errol Spence, a guy like Terrence Crawford. That could sit well with me. Because, again, these guys, you know, Terrence Crawford got all the belts at 140. Then he moved up and got a belt. It's not going to be the hardest thing to swallow if you lose to that guy. And he's undefeated. It's not going to be the hardest thing to swallow. But to lose to Ugas, it's just like, Ugas has got defeats on his record, and again, he didn't fight for this belt, and he's not top 5. Like, there's so many. I could see how he would wake up the next day and say, you know what? I know everybody loves me and they're saying don't do this again, but no, we got to run this back. We got to run this back so that I can sleep well at night. Now, that being said, do I think it's safe? The fact that your wife has to spoon feed you would probably suggest it's not the safest thing in the world. You went to the hospital that night. Ugas went to the club. So he must have been okay. Because, yeah, I don't know, how many of you actually box, but when you get hit in the head, you kind of get a ringing sound in there, and it kind of, your head is kind of all over the place. Ugas went to the club where they're blasting music and there's lights all over the place. You know, the two things that would give you a headache, a lot of lights, blasting music. He went to the club after a fight. Okay, so that lets you know how tough he is. Manny Pacquiao went and got checked out. And then the next day he's being spoon-fed by his wife. So, do I think he should do it again? I'm never one to tell anybody how they should live their life. And it was Roy Jones who said, well, he was asked, because, Roy Jones kept fighting well past his prime. And he said, this is the perfect out for me. Like, I'm okay with dying in the rain. Because he always said that's my perfect way to go. Like, I'm a warrior. I would go out like this, doing what I love, and in combat. Like, he actually said that. I think Manny Pacquiao, well, I don't think. Look at the way the man has fought for 20 years. I know Manny Pacquiao thinks that way. I mean, after Marquez knocked him out brutally, he wanted a 5th fight. He actually wanted a 5th fight. Marquez is like, I'm tired of seeing your face. Like, I don't want to fight you anymore. Period. It is what it is. I won the last one, and I won it with a brutal KO. Manny had to suck that up. Manny lost to Floyd. Manny's like, let's run it back. My arm was hurting me. Floyd's like, no, I'm done. I had to deal with your name for the last almost 10 years, more like 5 years. And then we fought, and I won. I'm done with you. So Manny has that in him where it's like, no, you got me, I got to get mine back. But Manny's older now. Manny's older now. They were talking about like December, January, or something like that. Manny's older now. For me, if I were around Manny, I would plead with him. You had a great career, 8-time world champ. Let it go. Like, let it go. Just please let it go. That's what I would say. Please let it go. You know. Or if you still have the itch in you, go fight a YouTuber. Knock one of their heads off into the third row, whatever. But don't go up in such high competition. You're only getting older. Your body is only deteriorating more and more. That means by the time you actually, let's just say you were to fight Ugas again, by the time you get in the ring with him, you're going to be even older. By the time your body heals up from this fight, then you go through a training camp, and then you actually fight him. That's a lot of time in between. You know, I don't know. Go take a vacation for a month, see how you feel, you know, and then decide. But I would definitely say sleep on it, champ. I would definitely say sleep on it. Ugas is only going to get better. He's still younger than you. And apparently, yes, his face was a little lumped up, but apparently he didn't take as much damage as you. Ugas went to the club. I can't stress that enough. You went to the club. You know, that's the last place you want to go after you've had a fight, because your head is still ringing. Your head is sore. Bright lights make your head hurt. Blasting music make your head hurt. And yet that's where he went, and he hung out for the rest of the night. So I don't suggest Manny do it. Gotta love the guy for thinking about doing it, or even suggesting doing it, or even putting his foot down and say, I am doing it. I don't know, you know, to what extent of seriousness this is. Like, are they actually drawing up contracts as we speak? I don't know. But I hope it's just conversation. I hope it's just impulse. I hope it's just emotion. That's what I hope, because I don't want to see Manny Pacquiao the way we all saw Manny Pacquiao in the fourth fight with Marquez. You don't want to see him like that. Especially at his age, you don't want to see him like that. I don't want to see any fighter like that. So those are my thoughts. I want you to tell me what you think down below. And again, like this video, and please like and subscribe.